The earliest African American graduates of Harvard Law School were very much connected to what was going on in the United States generally, which was a transition from slavery to freedom. It was very difficult for African Americans to be even admitted to the bar before the Civil War. But after the 13th and 14th and 15th Amendments, African Americans were quickly admitted to the bar in most states and began to attend law school.
So George Lewis Ruffin was not just the first black graduate of Harvard Law School, he was the first black person in the United States to receive legal education. There had been other lawyers who had done what you could do then, what Abe Lincoln did, in fact, which was read for the bar, which was to study under the tutelage of a lawyer and then maybe take an exam or just have a period of apprenticeship to qualify you for membership in the bar. But no one had gone to law school until George Lewis Ruffin.
The earliest black graduates of Harvard Law School would have experienced extreme isolation, being an anomaly in this setting. It was not proper or considered proper for blacks and whites to mix during that time period.
Archibald Grimke, 1874 graduate of Harvard Law School. The Grimke family were children of a South Carolina slaveholder. Archibald Grimke has two half-sisters, the Grimke sisters, who were famous abolitionists. Grimke himself doesn't practice law that much, but goes on to a very distinguished career, eventually becoming one of the leaders of the NAACP and receiving the Spingarn Medal from that institution in 1919. Clement Morgan was born a slave in Virginia. He's an 1890 graduate of Harvard College, and he was classmates with W.E.B. Du Bois, of course. And he and Du Bois were competitors of sorts. Both of them competed for an oratory award right before they graduated, and Morgan beat out Du Bois. He went to Harvard Law School, graduating in 1893. Third African-American graduate of Harvard Law School, and wound up practicing law locally here in Boston. The fourth African-American graduate is a guy named William H. Lewis, a really remarkable figure. And under the rules that pertained at that point, you could play football while attending Harvard Law School, which he did. And he was captain of the football team, and he was an All-American. You have to remember that, back then, being at Harvard and playing football was like being in the National Football League today. He was a tough guy, as were all the early African-American graduates, because they had to be. They lived in a world that devalued them.
The earliest black graduates of Harvard Law School were blazing a trail. They were making a way. And I know this is the way African Americans think about these things, the first at various places, that there will be others, and others will do even better and better.
George Lewis Ruffin arrived here today, he might have thought that he had landed on Mars. I'm sure he would be amazed. And he would be very, very proud. He would be very proud that people still knew his name and knew what he had done to lay the foundation for this incredible legacy that has followed. But he would also remind us, undoubtedly, that we still have much work to be done.